Hello there. This is Rebecca Even, and this is Lee Kemper, and this is my first time doing a live web event. So I've done many speaking engagements and interviews, but please bear with me. Our goal tonight is to leave you with a few gifts that will make this one of your best Christmases ever, no matter what your situation is. Tonight, we unwrap just how to keep Christ in Christmas all 12 days as we learn the song, live in gratitude, and restore our peace. My prayer is that our time together tonight and your time tomorrow, July 25th, the real Christmas in July, will prepare your hearts and plans for a most sacred celebration of Christ's nativity to the Epiphany. So grab your cup of tea. Got mine. Lee, you got yours? Grab your cup of tea and let's go. First in the chat, we have the amazing Jaina, who is from the Philippines, and she brings all of this work to life. And we're so grateful for her. And second, I want to welcome my good friend Lee Kemper from Chicago, Illinois, in her basement, which is Christmas all year round, and thank her for jumping in. Lee and I first met in, I think it was 1990, when we were aspiring thespians, and I was in the chorus. Lee was Mary Magdalene, and her husband, Bo, was John the Baptist. He was the superstar in the play Godspell. So welcome, Lee. Tell us about your basement.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas all, and to all a good night. Delightful to be celebrating Christmas because it's 88 degrees with an 88-degree humidity here in Chicago. So thank you so much, although I don't need to talk to you about heat. Yes, so what am I doing here in a basement of Christmas all year round? Well, Rebecca, as you mentioned, my dear husband, 7 years ago, he passed away. And when I moved into this new house, I found not only did I have a smaller house, but I had a smaller Christmas tree. And therefore, all of the wonderful tree ornaments which we had adorned our tree with did not fit. And that very first Christmas, wanting to make it extremely festive or do all I could for my children, grieving their father, I decided to extend Christmas to all the rooms of my new house, including the basement. And out of practicality, I had no room for some of these ornaments. So I placed on the tree behind me some of my late husband's favorite ornaments. He was very fond of the White House historical ornaments in the Capitol Hill. And I found I had an assortment of them all that would fill a tree. So up they went, and a few other things, and it just seemed so cozy and homey. I thought, it was one less thing to do. I didn't have to take them down. Always looking for that. And I just love being down here and with the Christmas year. Now, I don't wear this generally every evening. It is kind of fun to adorn this again, I must say. But that is how my Christmas basement came to be. And I think a Christmas basement is about the coziest place you can have. Because although Christmas is not necessarily my favorite holiday faith-wise, I think Easter is. It's the best holiday for decorations. I mean, come on, and costumes and everything else. As you said, we're thespians in the basement now. But it is the best for decorations and the coziest and the warmest. So if you're looking at how to decorate your basement and you're coming up a blank, I say go with red and green and Christmas. You can't go wrong. So
I've had the pleasure
of came to be.
I've had the pleasure of staying in the Christmas basement a few times, and it's wonderful. Well, okay, so moving on to the 12 days of Christmas, I'm going to begin our time with a quote that was actually published by the National Catholic Register in 2013, and it has to do with going back to how to keep Christ in Christmas. That's our main focus, right? So this is from Bishop Olmsted, and it says, let's see, so I started on the wrong side. It says, the 12 days of Christmas have for centuries helped Christians to enter more profoundly into the meaning of the incarnation and the birth of Jesus. This wondrous mystery of the Son of God becoming one with us in our humanity will always go beyond our ability fully to understand, yet it is not an irrational event. The simplicity of the child Jesus and the example of Mary and Joseph, the shepherds and the Magi, invite us to draw nearer, little by little, into the beauty of this mystery of divine love. So that's the sacredness that we are shooting for in the midst of our current consumerism and culture that is celebrates Christmas during Advent, and then during Christmas it shuts everything down. So tonight we're going to do 3 sections. We're going to do some history, some controversy, and some transformation, and hopefully that will leave you with plenty of gifts so that you can plan. Actually, today is technically Christmas in July Eve. And tomorrow is technically Christmas in July, as was established in 1933 in the United States. And then after that, we'll go into how to make an ornament, and then take questions and answers if anybody has any. So welcome to Christmas in July Eve. And there are 3 main characteristics in the Christmas in July story. First is Fanny Holt. Second is U.S. military. And third is Hallmark. Surprise, surprise, right? So Fanny Holt was a camp counselor at Keystone Camp in South Carolina. And in 1933, she decided that Christmas was just too special and could not be just reserved to one day. So she established Christmas in July at the camp, and they decorated the camp, and they put the decorations up, and then they sang Christmas carols and celebrated that way. And so that was in South Carolina. And then in World War II, the U.S. military used the Christmas in July campaign to boost the morale of the troops with letters and gifts. And then third, Hallmark used the Christmas in July as a launch date for the sales of their keepsake ornaments originally. And then it went into their Christmas in July movie marathons, and they would begin them on July 12th because most people don't, associate the 12 days with the actual 12 days. So they could run their movies longer and they could promote the Hallmark ornaments. So we're proposing that Christmas in July be recaptured by Christians in our way of planning and preparing for celebrating Christmas all 12 days in December. So that's the history of Christmas in July. And now we're going to go to the history of the 12 days of Christmas. And it was first established in 567 AD at the Council of Tours. And what the church was trying to do was bring together the Church of the East and the Church of the West. The Church of the East celebrated the most holy day of Christ's birth as the Epiphany, which is the manifestation of God, January 6th. And the Church of the West celebrated the most holy day as the Nativity of Jesus's birth. And so the church in her wisdom and seeing the history of the 12 tribes of Israel and all the other 12s in the scriptures, they made Christmas celebration the whole 12 days. And it was initially known as the Holy Days, which then morphed into our word holiday, and then became known as the 12 days and then the 12 days of Christmas. So Christmas was never a day in the Catholic Church. It's always been at the minimum 12. And I think, Lee, when do you stop celebrating Christmas at your house? When do you take down your ornaments and say Christmas is over?
Well, first of all, I have to say, I just learned something from you. And as a homeschool mom for 22 years, I'm delighted to have learned what I just did from you. So thank you so much, Rebecca. Well, Candlemas Day, February 2nd. Yeah. Maybe I'm lazy and especially the outdoor Christmas lights, but that's another story about when I do those. But yes, until the tree must come down earlier due to, fire hazard. But everything else comes down on Candlemas Day, February 2nd.
Right. So as Catholics, we believe at a minimum of 12, we celebrate for a minimum of 12 days of Christmas. A lot of churches celebrate until the baptism of Jesus. And then if you go all the way to Candlemas Day, that's the way to go. My mom used to go to Valentine's Day. So my mom, who was born on Christmas
Day,
to
get looks if I go too long.
I know. Well, tell us about your lights and how you what tradition that you had in your family with regard to lighting your tree.
Oh, I must say, first of all, that this is a tradition that in doing informal interviews among other families who do this, it's generally a maternal tradition. In other words, if the husband proposes it, the wife usually nixes it. But if it comes in from the wife, it generally stays. And this is the tradition, that the tree is not decorated until after everyone has gone to bed. The children have all gone to bed. In other words, Santa Claus decorates the tree. Now, that may seem like a secular thing, but all our life, Santa Claus decorated the tree. So we would go to bed with the tree dark and devoid of any light or color, no presents under the tree. The house had the wonderful aroma and the scent of the cooking of my mother's wonderful cook, but the tree was dark. And off to bed, and on Christmas morning, resplendent. I mean, it was the most amazing, most beautiful tree I could ever imagine. Now, had I been able to really look at it with a critical eye, I probably would have noticed that my dear parents had been decorating it at 3 o'clock in the morning, and who knows how the tinsel was thrown on the tree and the tricycles put together, whatever other dolls were put under the tree. So I brought that into my family, and my husband, like the good sport that he was, went around with it. Now, you don't get much sleep on Christmas Eve, but I must say, there were two things. One, I felt so special that Santa Claus stopped and decorated our tree. He took the time. And it did come to me then on Christmas morning. The light of the world was right there in my living room. Nobody ever put it to me, but there was a connection made somehow. The Lord used that tradition. I highly recommend it. People scoff and they say, oh, no way. But because we didn't start Christmas until Christmas Eve, it propelled us and it launched us. So that childhood tradition made it natural for me to live the 12 days of Christmas and beyond. Oh, and then my Christmas lights too. Then that was another thing. So I put up the Christmas lights outside. Yes, dear husband. But yes, I guess because you know how it is in marriage. If you can do it, they'll let you, right? So I did. And I would put out all the lights outside. There's a newlyweds out there. Don't let your husband know you know how to do certain things, because then you will be doing them. So I would put up all the lights on our house, but I didn't turn them on until Christmas Eve. And then I kept them on all the way through January and February until Candlemas Day. It's such a dreary month, January. Why wouldn't anyone? So it was the two things: the tree not being decorated until Christmas Eve that brought such joy, and then the lights not going on until Christmas Eve, and then they were on. The January electric bill. So what?
We had a little bit different tradition in our family because we didn't learn about the 12 days of Christmas until my kids were a little bit older, and I didn't have that tradition in my family. But we would, like, when the kids were younger, I would always feel this pressure to put the Christmas tree up over Thanksgiving weekend and get it decorated and do my Christmas cards and, start buying, just like the craziness of the
Right.
consumerism driving everything. But when we learned about the 12 days of Christmas, we started putting a tree up, but not decorating it, only just having the tree. And then later on, when we learned about the Jesse tree, which is started by a Protestant woman, and it is like salvation history through Advent,
Mm-hmm.
which is really good for children. A lot of the Advent reflections are complex and hard to, like the Advent readings and stuff. But for younger children, the Jesse tree is just amazing because there's a symbol for each, kind of major event from creation in the fall all the way up to the birth of Jesus that leads you to the Savior. So it's very powerful. So what we do now is we put the tree up during Advent, but we don't but maybe we do put lights on, but we don't decorate it. And now we decorate it as a family on the 23rd, have mass on the 24th, and and then start
Very
the
nice.
12 days of Christmas then. So that's how our
We do
family
decorate
did
it now that the children are older. We
Yeah,
decorate it together on
together.
Christmas Eve or a few days before. One other thing,
Yeah.
and maybe this prompted my father to do this tradition. My parents were children of the Depression, and economically, and we did this with my husband. If you go on Christmas Eve or the 2 days before Christmas to buy a tree, you can get a great deal. You do,
Yes, you
Bo.
can.
I mean, I can remember him negotiating for this 20-foot Christmas tree and getting it for a song. And at one point, the guy was like, "Oh, come on!" And my husband said, "Hey, it's 2 days before Christmas. Who are you going to sell this to?" So you can get a good deal on a tree as well when you wait.
That's fun. Okay, so going into how I learned about the 12 days of Christmas, and that is, I was very, like as I said earlier, I was very consumed with meeting all the expectations of our kids, and you know how hard you
Mhm.
work in finding the exact right gift and having the perfect meal and getting everyone to church at the same time and everything. And in 2010, our priest sent out a letter, an Advent letter, explaining that the 12 days of Christmas was actually it was a code. The 12 days of Christmas song, as that we know it, is a code written by a wily Jesuit in the 1700s. And from that
Is there
letter
any
is
other kind of Jesuit than a wily Jesuit? Did I say
careful,
that?
careful. So anyway, I wanted off the Manic Madison Avenue merry-go-round of Christmas because here we are celebrating the Prince of Peace becoming among us, and there was nothing peaceful in our life and in our world. And anyway, I went to go research and find what kind of resources there were to teach my kids about the 12 days. And the only thing I could find was a digital download for 1999 that was created by Protestant women. And I was like, how are they going to handle this period of time as Protestants? Because it was, anyway, they referred to the penal years in Ireland as a time of holy wars. And I was like, holy, you know what? There was no war and it wasn't holy. It was straight up persecution in the penal years. And so from there, I went on a research thing, and I actually found the priest. His name was Father Stockart, and he is ground zero for the 12 days of Christmas as a code in the United States. And it was when I caught up with him, he shared with me that he actually was doing research in the 60s, 1960s, and he was at Georgetown Library, and he was researching his thesis at the time, and he saw a book that looked interesting, and he pulled it off the shelf, and out slid 4 or 5 papers. And these were the letters written in the 1600s. They were written in English, and they were written from a Jesuit in Dublin, Ireland, to a Jesuit in Douai, France. And this becomes pertinent in kind of the controversial discussion of, is the 12 Days of Christmas song as we know it a 17th century Irish code, or is it an 18th century English nursery rhyme? And as someone who's got a bit of the fighting Irish in me, I will say that there is enough evidence, including Father Stockart's finding of these letters and his testimony, to assert that it is a code that emerged out of the penal years. We don't have the letters because Father Stockart notated them, and he, in the 1960s, think no phones, no cameras, no computers, no copiers, no mimeograph. Like, he noted them, he put the papers back in the book, and he put them back on the shelf. I still think they're in the book in the shelf or in the archives at Georgetown, but I have more research to do to find all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I was not miffed, that's not the right word, but I was like, hey, these Protestants aren't going to steal the 12 days of Christmas. This is a Catholic story, and it's based
Protective.
on,
You were
yes,
protective.
very protective of my Irish heritage. And I actually found this book in researching. I found it in your hometown. I found it
Oh, yes,
at
I
a
recall,
used
right.
bookstore near Faneuil Hall, and it's called
Oh,
of the Irish martyrs and the saints.
Oh,
And this is first written in the 1800s, and it's firsthand accounts of the murders during the penal years. And anyway, with that, I was like, I think this was about the time that John Paul II sent out the letters to the artists. And I thought, we need to reclaim the song for the spiritual meanings. And so I rewrote the song as we know it to match the spiritual code. And so on the first day of Christmas, our Father gave to us a Savior in a manger. On the second day of Christmas, our Father gave to us 2 testaments, the Old and New Testament, 2 turtle doves, 3 French hens is the Trinity, 3 in 1. So it goes through all the way through. And actually, at the end of the webinar, we'll send you an email that has links to a lot of these things, because we have a great recording by Floriani. They recorded the song, the men who do the sacred music, and also, let's see, a couple other videos with the interview with Father Stockert. So anyway, so how do we get here now? Because that was back in 2011 that I wrote this. But in 2023, I was literally tying these red and white strings on these giving tree ornaments for Holy Family Hospital, which is located in Bethlehem, 1,500 steps from where Christ was born. And as I was tying these, I was thinking, I could raise more money for Holy Family if I brought back the work that I had done in 2011 digitally, because now there's the tools to have it spread to more families. So this is kind of a kickoff to a cultural revolution, a Christmas cultural revolution for us as Christians to regain the meaning of the season. It will be gone in a generation if we Christians do not stand up and put Christ back into the center of it. So I serve with the Order of Malta, which is this is one of the primary works of the Order of Malta. So we're partnering with Holy Family Hospital to bring back the digital bundle. So all the things that we did before. So there was a song which was on iTunes, a book that was on Amazon, and an ornament kit was on Etsy. And with all of those things, then we have it bundled digitally, and it's now called the Digital Bundle of Joy. And people can use the Digital Bundle of Joy to help them celebrate the 12 days of Christmas. But you don't have to. You can literally learn the song and celebrate with your family without buying a thing. And that's really important to us, that this is not contingent on purchasing anything. But if you'd like the tools to create ornaments or candles or a hearth banner, that all comes in the digital bundle. Or on our website, which is Catholic Smile, you can actually buy the books on Amazon. So you can either buy the hard product or you can buy the digital product. But now we're focusing on bringing the movement back to families so that they can have more peace at Christmas time, and we can raise money for Holy Family. And Holy Family Hospital has, they have the Feast of the Epiphany, one of the masses that said on Epiphany, at the Church of the Nativity, which is where Jesus was born. The Mass is offered for all families who are celebrating all 12 days of Christmas. And last year, we didn't have the ability to take people's prayer requests. But this year, we're going to have the ability for people to submit their prayer requests, whether you purchase something or not. So we're hoping you take the challenge. The digital bundle combined is usually $27, but we're going to run a special in relationship to this webinar. So for 48 hours, it'll be on sale for $22. And of that, 50% goes to Holy Family Hospital. So it's kind of an exciting way to help Holy Family Hospital and to help families truly celebrate Christ and live all 12 days of Christmas. So I think, Jana, we have some prizes that we're going to give. So I think this is our first one. This is going to be the Advent digital bundle. So how to keep Christ in Advent is our thing. We have a Jesse Tree. Let's see. We have a Jesse Tree book and an ornament kit. So let's see. There it is. It's a Jesse Tree ornament kit and deuce. And I think Jana's going to hit the wheel or see who the winner is. I can't see. Oh, Amy Bonner. Amy Bonner won the Jesse Tree. This is a great for littles in your life because it's all in rhyme. So yay. Way to go, Amy. Thank you for being here. Okay, so going back to the controversy, is the 12 days of Christmas, is it a 17th century Irish code or is it an 18th century English nurse system? And I will tell you that the earliest published date right now we have is 1780 of the song in the traditional song, and it is published. It was a pamphlet called Myrrh and Mischief, and it looks like it's a pamphlet from a play. And Mirth Without Mischief actually is the title of it. And the pamphlet, all right, lost this. I'll show you the first page of it. This is an actual copy of the earliest known publication date of the 12 Days of Christmas. And it says the 12 Days of Christmas, sung at King Pepin's ball. And I was like, who is King Pepin? And I had no idea, but he is King Pepin the Short from the 700s. And King Pepin, we don't recognize immediately, but his son we do. And his son was the first Holy Roman Catholic emperor, or Charlemagne. So in my research, I found a paper that was published like 3 years ago, and it was titled Pepin, Power, and the Papacy. And it was basically saying that King Pepin should have been the first Holy Roman emperor, not his son, because he had done all the work to unify the empire. So I have a lot to learn in that area, but here it is, King Pepin's ball. I don't know if that's like Shakespearean, like we have a Shakespeare ball or we have something like that, but the fact that it was King Pepin's ball and he was the first, and his son was the first Holy Roman Catholic emperor, it's one of the clues right in the book that this predated that. So the letters that Father Stockert found were in the 1600s. It was late 1600s, he said. So that would predate the earliest publication date. And then there's a ton of information, or just there's so much circumstantial evidence about the persecutions. Like, why would you need a code in Ireland? There's a lot of evidence that supports, but we don't have concrete evidence. So, one of my goals is to try and prove that it is an Irish code, but that will come in years, hopefully. Hopefully, we'll find all the traces. I think that was it on the history, and then the 18th century. So I assert between Father Stockert's first-person eyewitness testimony and the historical evidence that it truly is a 17th century Irish code. I guess now I want to shift. Maybe we could go to the second giveaway, because we are going to do a Live the 12 Days digital bundle of joy, which actually has the MP3 of the song and the ornament kit and the book too. So Jana, can you do that one and see if there is? Janet, yay. Congratulations, Janet. Thank you for attending. Oh, great. Okay, so I think before we go into the planner, which you all should have received in this planner digitally, I think Jana, we sent a PDF for you, but there is in the chat, I think Jana's going to put a link to a like a Google Doc form, so you could do this in electronic document if you'd prefer. But I wanted to share with you one of my favorite pages in this book. This originally comes from the Feast of the Epiphany, and this is the image associated with it. And it says the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. It's about the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And then it says the gold is our love, our prayers is the frankincense, and our sufferings is the myrrh. And I want to read for you from this book right here, which is The Life of Mary as Seen by the Mystics. This book is the book I gave my friend when her son had cancer. This is the book that when people suffer that I highly recommend. And I was actually reading this book when I was in the hospital after just delivering our stillborn son. So to read this then was so powerful. But this is the Blessed Virgin said to the Venerable Mother Mary of Agreda, "My daughter, great were the gifts which the kings offered to the Most Holy Son, but greater still was the affection with which they offered them, and the mystery concealed beneath them. I wish you also to offer up similar gifts, for I assure you, my dearest, that there is no more acceptable gift to the Most High than voluntary poverty. There are few in the world who use temporal riches well and offer them to their Lord with their generosity and love of those holy kings. You too can make such an offering of the things necessary for sustenance, giving a part to the poor. Your ceaseless offer, however, must be love, which is the gold, continual prayer, which is the incense, and the patient acceptance of labors and true mortifications, which is the myrrh. All that you do for the Lord, you should offer up to him with ardent affection." And that theologically just hit me so hard, because if we can embed in our children's hearts that this is their life, in their lives, they're going to have joy and love, and they're going to have struggles and sorrows, and they're going to have the opportunity to offer them up. It just, just reminding them, what's your gold, what's your frankincense, and what's your myrrh, to be in continual prayer and everything. So that was one of my favorite pages of the story. So that's what I want to share with you. And then I just go into the planning, because today is Christmas in July Eve. Tomorrow, July 25th, is technically Christmas in July. So my challenge for everybody here is to take half an hour, and plan for Christmas in December, beginning on December 25th, and just consider how you and your family, even if it just enters your dialogue for the first couple of years for us, it would just be like, oh, today's the fourth day of Christmas. And I would bring a question up about the Gospels, but you could ask your kids, what's your favorite parable from the Gospels? Everyone in the family could write and make a plaque of their gospel scripture for the year. There's just so much you can do, but the main shift is that it all just doesn't end on December 25th. It moves through Epiphany, and then during those days, you're actually taking time to shift your focus to gratitude. So gone are the days where people are just like, oh, it's over on December 25th. And it feels so empty, like when all the presents are opened and everything's done. Later on in life, we moved our gift giving where actually one of the years, which I loved this for when kids were younger, is had the kids all choose one gift to put by the wise man that they would wait to open until Epiphany. So talk about waiting in joyful hope or a horrible suspense. It was a little bit of both, but that's one of the traditions. So in the Christmas and in your guide that you received, just reflect or just brainstorm on paper about what you can do during those days to lead it closer to Christ, and then end with a 12th night party, in the celebration of the Magi and the Epiphany house blessing, and which we will send you the links to all that. We have that in our website. It used to be Live the 12 Days. Actually, it still is Live the 12 Days, but it's also howtokeepchristinChristmas.com. And then our products are on catholicsmile.com. So you can tell I'm a little ADD because I have a different website for all the different subjects. But anyway, so when I was talking to Lee, when we were preparing for this, she shared with me 3 traditions about the gifts and the ornaments that I asked her to share with us today, because I think they're wonderful. And if I were doing it over again, I'd incorporate them in my celebration. So go for it, Lee.
Okay, so someone somewhere along the way, all best ideas you get from someone else, as I get so many from you, that on the idea that Christmas is not just the day, and we need some sort of incarnate reminder of it. And so it was recommended to take some Christmas decoration or ornament and put it in a place in your home where you will see it and leave it there throughout the year. So I took an ornament that actually was blue and coordinated nicely with my blue bathroom, so it doesn't scream Christmas, but it's still, when I see it, there it is. And it is clearly a Christmas ornament. It hangs in one of my bathrooms. And then the other one I learned from someone that to remind yourselves and your children why Jesus was born. I mean, it's all great and wonderful, but he was born to die. And so hanging prominently right up front and center on our tree is a small crucifix. And some people see it and they say, "Oh, I've had people visit and say, why do you have dead Jesus on your tree with crucifix?" I said, well, to remind you, this is why he was born, And so that's remained and still is on our tree. So when I hope I see my children doing it. And sometimes to keep the tradition going, you need to gift them with that ornament or with that small crucifix. I mean, if you want your children to continue doing something, sometimes you have to, remind them by giving that to them. And so those were 2 that have remained, and they become even more dear now that the children are not around. When I hang that crucifix on the tree or decorate the tree, sometimes by myself now, it still floods of memories of the joy and the meaning of why I did that.
Amazing. Well, I think we have one last thing, and that's our grand prize winner, which we have a book, an ornament kit, a table runner, table napkins, and tea towels in that basket. And we're going to do that one last drawing, and then we'll open it up for question and answer. Jana, you can figure us out if there's any questions that people have. We can take those now, and just know that we'll send an email that kind of summarizes and has links. But if by any chance you feel like you would like to take this to your parish, your church, we have a promotion package that has a poster. You would have to print them out or get your church to print them out, but it's a poster that has all the information on it. And our goal with this poster is if someone saw this and just read it, could they know everything they need to know to celebrate the 12 days of Christmas? And they don't have to buy a thing, but it will help Christians, help Catholics celebrate more fully. So in our parish promotion thing, we have this poster, we have some bulletin announcements, and we have some other things that if you'd be interested in kind of being a Christmas ambassador, or another thing that could be done is taking the ornament kit. If you need a fundraiser for your youth group or women's group or an activity for a Bible study, and you can actually break it apart. And now that I'm saying that, I'm remembering I was supposed to do a demonstration for a craft, but I think I'm just going to send that out in an email. I'm not going to demonstrate. Just know it takes a jar of Mod Podge and a paintbrush and the ornament kit somehow, and you can apply it to anything. And and we have. We've applied it to that whole basket back there. There's different kinds of ornaments and different kinds of things. My daughter decorated a clipboard for me, and then we did these kinds on paper, and we did ornaments. So there's all that kinds of things that you can do, and that's what kids learn. That's is being able to have manipulatives. And then my other favorite thing is doing a hearth banner. So it puts Christ right at the center of your home, over the hearth of your fireplace. So I think with that, Jana, do you want to do the grand prize drawing? And then we'll see if anybody has any questions. And if not, we will wrap it up. Arnie. Army. I do not know who that is, but congratulations. Or is that? We'll see. Or maybe I do. Is this Mary Howard's husband? Cool. Jana, is there a way to do question and answer? Do we have any questions? Are we wrapping up? Hello.
Hello. Yes, I don't see any questions yet.
Does anybody want to share a tradition or something like that? Other than that, I think we're a wrap. Could you end? Can you put the video with the
May I add another tradition?
Go for it. Yes.
Thank you, since I'm in the costume. So here's something that happened several years ago. My husband decided to invite several people, orphans he was going to grad school at the time, and people who had no place to go. And so he decided to invite them to our home for Christmas Day. And we had 17 strangers at our home and with some relatives, some friends, no relatives where we were at the time. And the house was clean, all 6 bathrooms were clean, the tables were set for 30, everything was great, and we had a lot of leftovers. So the next morning we woke up to this beautifully decorated house with lots of leftovers and looked at each other and said, well, what are we going to do with all this food? Although we'd only been in the neighborhood a couple of years, we knew enough people, and we started calling people for the day after. I said, come on over, we have lots of leftovers, and bring your own. And that started a tradition of a party, which our neighbors look forward to so much, and I truly recommend. If you are new in a neighborhood or you've been there 10 years and you want to unite your community, begin your day after Christmas leftovers party. And if you're in town, you've got nothing to do, it's a great way to start it off. We got to the point where we had 50 families coming, and then we expanded it to be we had a white elephant. But at the beginning, people were so excited because they said, oh my gosh, I had to spend yesterday with all the relatives. And then today I get to just relax. The very first year we had it, I recall, one of our neighbors came down and she had colossal shrimp cocktail. I said, oh my gosh, I know I moved into the right neighborhood if my neighbor's leftovers are shrimp cocktail. But at any rate, truly, we had neighbors who had one neighbor who had lived in the neighborhood for 30 years, and another who had lived in the same street 10 years down the street. They met for the first time at our house at one of our day after Christmas parties. So it's relaxed, it's fun. Your house is clean anyway. You get rid of the leftovers, and everybody has a great time. I truly recommend that as right up, and we make up invitations and we distribute them. And it is just a relaxed and wonderful way. And at that time would be always, before he said grace, my husband would then explain. For us, Christmas started on Christmas Eve. And so we're so glad you're with us now as we launch. And we really help then to teach people a little bit about the party starts now as Catholics. We're not. And this is why we're going to have our tree up for the next 2 months. So that's one of my recommendations, which is a blast. And I love that party.
That's very cool. And we had our first 12th night party this last year. Actually, it was kind of turned into my 60th birthday party. It was a 12th night, 60th. Yeah, but I was like, I much prefer a 12th night party and really entering.
The stress is gone. Too much of us put too much stress. And it's just like, you've done all the work. The house is clean and everybody is just a little tidbit though here. If you're serving, you're going to have kids, serve sugar-free lemonade, all right? But as we would have, because the sugar sticks, don't do pop, don't do soda, don't can soda. For the kids, sugar-free lemonade. I'm sorry, whatever chemicals are in it, because it's going to spill and it makes less mess. So that's my little thing.
Your always leading tip.
Yes.
Yes, all of it. Well, all of it's to refocus our hearts and our minds on the mystery of Christ,
bringing people together,
becoming incarnate, and helping us celebrate. So thank you everyone for being here. So glad you joined us. And if there aren't any questions or comments, we'll say
Rebecca,
goodbye.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah, Christmas in July. Yes, Dana.
We have our first question.
Okay.
So does it have to be July to celebrate Christmas in July?
No, I guess you could prepare and celebrate any time for Christmas in July. It was just started. I guess you could prepare. You could probably do it even for 12 days starting tomorrow. I just thought when I looked at the history of the Christmas in July, first of all, trying to teach Catholics about the 12 days of Christmas during the 12 days of Christmas is just impossible because everybody is so consumed by all their obligations and their joys and their, events and everything like that. And even Catholic media, it's just like everything's a recording. And actually Catholic media does not report on this because of the controversy, because they can't look at something and prove that the song that we know, "A Partridge in a Pear Tree, Two Turtle Doves," is a code. And so that's one of my goals, one of my longtime goals, and proving that it is an Irish code. And I think I'll get there someday. I'm patient. I've been working on this since 2011. So anyway, I think you could, with the spirit of Christmas is peace, love, and joy, and that's something we're supposed to bring to our lives as Catholics and Christians every day. So,
amen.
As Lee said, we can have the ornament in the bathroom all year long,
or anywhere else in the house. It doesn't have to be there. Just
Yeah. Exactly. So I hope that will inspire you to take the challenge to live the 12 days and maybe expose your church to the challenge and see if we can raise some money for Holy Family Hospital. And I was talking to my son and did the reverse engineering. I was like, what if we set a goal of trying to, raise $1 million for Holy Family? And he's like, well, how many families would that take? And I'm like, oh, just 83,333 families. But we could do it when you think about it. I'm like, oh, that's like 400 parishes to get 100 people each, or, somehow if we could get this going. And I don't know how to get something to go viral, but hopefully we can get more people to know about it and to transform the culture of Christmas back to its Christian origins. So with that, I say amen. Thank you. And I cough in your ear. My apologies. So thank you, Lee. I appreciate you hanging out.
Merry Christmas. And to all a happy Christmas in July.
Goodbye.
Jingle, jingle.